have an email address, shiva@karmacolon.com, where we just want to be sure that we offer a platform where all of you can direct message to us in addition to Shiva's great team.
So really, thank you so much for bringing us together. And I love that your, studio, Nikki and Annie is called Karma, because first we're like, what's karma? But it's like really applying yoga as wisdom in action, and at the same time, wisdom in being. And so I just want to really say that it means a lot to me these days, but even however we get together in a Zoom format. And can you bring us to the gallery? Are you in control of that, or am I in control of that? Can you bring us to the gallery for a moment? Also, I'm a very aesthetic person. I've got to put a heart over this. I'm going to put a heart over this. Hold on. Can we see everybody?
You can do that. You have to go to the gallery, Shiva.
Okay.
You can do that, Shiva.
I'll do that myself. Let me just get my little aesthetic part. There we go. So really, to me, I want to say, because I feel that in a way, every moment in life is so valuable these days. And what Soulful Wellness for me, because wellness is now such a, in some ways we can say it has a buzz to it. Some people may use that term to mean really offering a wellness sanctuary like you have in your studio. But I think this time that we're in has made it really, really practical. And I think that's what we mean, is that we think that Soulful Wellness means really, as yoga teachers, focusing on living yoga and perhaps offering an understanding that could be complementary to all of the forms of revitalizing ourselves. So for instance, we're going to be in our new, as you say, new platform. I like to say it a sanctuary. And I also feel really sensitive to that. I want you to feel that this is created for you. When I started to see the profound ripple effect for particularly yoga teachers, we're like artists, musicians, people who are living in a way a different rhythm of life. And in that different rhythm, we don't always have a kind of a financial support above us. We're in a different type of cycle. So we wanted to make this time we feel it's like for everybody, such a soulful time where when we describe the koshas or the chakras, these maps of literally taking care of yourself on every level of your being, that during this pandemic, we can literally see what happens to we say fire tending when we have stress at any of those levels. And this is what I was trying to map in tending the heart fire. And in some ways, this is the dream extension, starting with yoga teachers, is that, let's just be very practical. When we say 3, 6, and 9 month program, we also are saying to people, whether they drop into one class or they want to spend a week with us or a month with us, that it's movement alchemy. When we say yoga alchemy, that can mean something that is historically, like, in terms of Rasayana or the Siddha tradition in yoga, a very long and deep path. So we don't want to say that in the end of 9 months, we will have mastered our vitality. What we say is that the book of life is going to bring us changes and challenges along the way. And we're not sure the timing of that. And we mean the big stuff, the Muladhara stuff. And so yoga, if we see it as tending the fire, then every level of our life, where we start like in the map of the chakras or the elements, from our physical health to, in the koshas, our pranic health. I mean, we all know as yoga practitioners, how much are we really breathing every day? Even though we have all the techniques of breathing, you know, how much are we really breathing? And then our emotional body. And then it's really, I think this is a time of a spiritual crisis for many people, because what is the birthplace of spirituality is really when we are on our knees and we're facing the essence of what life is all about. And so we call all of that fire keeping. And so we're kind of giving a different perspective perhaps in wellness, in that this is as old as some of the things that we were describing in tending the heart fire, that metaphor that you are responsible for your inner fire is as old as we've been tending fire. If we don't attend to that fire, it starts to go out. If we don't really know how to tend it, the winds of change can make it like a total wildfire, and we feel so overwhelmed. And we think that the things that we're going to be focusing on, inflammation, which is the major kind of quality of the COVID-19 virus, as well as stress. If we just look at stress and inflammation and the evidence base about evidence of the effects of inflammation and stress on every aspect, every marker of our health, if we just see those two things as the same thing as a fire, with acute inflammation being a fire out of control, stress really at a very high level. And I think everybody, if you had a very balanced, wonderful life, not much stress has happened to you, I think everybody now in these periods can feel those thresholds of stress, and where we really have to practice not just to feel good, but really for the depth of our health and vitality, and meaning our inner health as well. So we're going to be focusing on what we call the smile, not to be corny, but it's nice to remember. And that's true, is that in managing stress and the evidence-based studies, it's so much depending on what we understand as bhava. So we are not therapists, but we have the capacity to be on the front line as mitras on the path. And what we mean is that most yoga teachers are with people in that day-to-day stress management. And every one of you has stayed after class talking with the student. Or maybe you're on the path and you aren't yet a teacher, but that soulful conversation that happens afterwards. And we just want to make sure that everybody who's getting certified in yoga is also having a parallel path, which grounds them a little more fully, particularly if we have to focus, because it's such a huge field. But if we focus on stress management and also circadian rhythms, the actual rhythm of our life. And this is actually the two things that we're trying to do in a prana flow practice with, we could say another triangle, is really connecting with what it is to be alive every day, not losing connection to our heart fire, because we already know the consequences when we do, right? When we lose touch with that ground of love, our speech changes. Again, our stress levels and how we respond to things loses basically, you know, our heart and how our perspective. So we're going to be in a weekly rhythm, as well as a lunar rhythm, which means the two ways of the ascending and the descending, the cycle of waxing and waning, as well as a 3-month cycle. We've had to adapt. We actually postponed the launch, and we were going to launch in fall. So then we were like, woo, okay, this is the moment, because people are home. Many teachers need hours to complete. They're in between. There's many people who want to complete a 300-hour and start to move into greater leadership in their community. There's many yoga teachers who are already feeling that people need a more holistic perspective of yoga. So, for instance, we're starting, we have the new moon tomorrow, but every Sunday is going to be kind of like the beginning of the week. And so in the smile is, we will have, I'll go from kind of what makes sense. Smile is soulful, soulful community, meditation, inspiration, living yoga, lifestyle, and embodiment, right? So now let's go backwards. We start with the namaskar of the week, but we're not going to do anything dry. My feeling about these times is that we, particularly in teacher training, it has to be juicy. It has to be meaningful. Why? Because when you go to India, yoga is meaningful. It's juicy. Yes, juicy meaning it's not dull. It's not by rote. It's not a kind of a test. When I looked at some wellness programs, some people are being certified, for instance, in the American Fitness Professional Association. It's a reading-based program, and you take multiple choice answers, and that's all. You don't have somebody who's really guiding you into this embodiment. So we're going to work with the namaskars, and it's possible that if we stay in the full journey, that we will finally be able to go through the full mandala of the 40 namaskars of prana flow. And the only way we can do that is start back at the beginning, which we love to do. For us, it's not boring to come back to Surya and Chandra, namaskar. So then from that namaskar, we have the earth week, the water week, the fire, and the air. And in that monthly cycle, depends on, we love to add the space too. It depends on the configuration, but that's the basics. And what that means is that through the cycle of the week, you're going to have a couple of more practices based on that namaskar. And then you will have our library, which is on Yoga Alchemy now. We needed a place where we could be more multidimensional in the types of tools where it's really easy to see, this is the week. This is the reading for the week. This is the little quiz that would be that. This is where, I'll get to it across the board, but anyhow, back to the week. Yoga Alchemy is going to give you the full foundation palette when we get into the elemental, full elemental palette. And that means you have 10 solar, lunar, complete practices that are more level 2, 3. They end up in peak asanas like Vishwamitrasana, the Bakasana family, Natarajasana. They're still all level, but what I feel like we really needed in Prana Flow was more of a level 1, 2 practice, which is really level 1, 3. Something that people can both enter into if they're newer to the practice, but also shows teachers variations of what is there as the wave sequences. So I will be offering a solar and a lunar practice. And then the art of namaskar, which starts on Sunday, is going to be inclusive of the mudra of the week. So it's not to kind of be, how should I say, almost like a yoga cafe, the soup of the day, the mudra of the week. But we really feel like the mudra of the day doesn't give enough digestion. And the mudra of the month, which is usually the recommendation, a 40-day practice, or something you really integrate, would perhaps be too slow for these times. So we're going at this pace. We're going to see how the digestion is. If we need to move it to a 2-week or more spacious rhythm, we can. But what that means is that on a Sunday, you receive a complete meditation, a namaskar, and also prostration. So we're really trying to go the beginning of vinyasa in the namaskars, the art of meditation and movement meditation in the context of, with that elemental background, the very basics of Ayurvedic knowledge and wisdom that for some of you who are already Ayurvedic practitioners, it may seem like, yeah, I already have this. But I have a lot of friends who are Ayurvedic practitioners, and not everybody takes on the tapas of getting up early to spend in our foundation week a week of sunrise or sunset, the tapas, the invitation of the tapas. So it's like, or the invitation in the water week in terms of really looking with hydration. You know, I love to drink from a copper cup, but then somebody takes the cup, or, you know, like the thing that you're like, wait, what happened? Where's my copper cup again? Like life sometimes, you know, changes things. So it's like a little chance in a tapas to build a wellness practice. We're going to be giving you a handout. So it's like really grounded, something that you would be giving to, you know, let's stay with this a little bit more, but let's talk about what would be the end goal in a moment. So the main thing is that our tools that we want to be able to give, let's say now we're looking at the end of this, end of 3 months, is we are very sure that you will feel more grounded to be a movement meditation teacher. Now you say, well, what if I'm not a yoga teacher? We would prefer people to continue and, you know, get the full grounding, but there are so many people who are school teachers who just even in their hospital where they live, they want to be able to offer these tools, which we all know, mudra, breath flow, a multi-modality approach to meditation, not just seated meditation. But why movement meditation is because this gives people the greatest access to circulation through breath flow and arm movements. And that gives you as a teacher a multiple modality where somebody literally who is bedridden, you can give them a practice. Somebody who is in an office, somebody is in a stressful situation, kids who are at a desk, obviously that's not now. But what we want to do is give you a grounding in a mandala of practices. And yes, this is what, in terms of our wellness, in terms of the live classes, it would be usually about 3 times the amount in terms of the amount of work and everything that we're doing. But we don't feel like that's the important thing right now. We feel like the most important thing is that we can give support to teachers at this time to be able, whether it's one-to-one or whether it's being able to say on your yoga schedule or even at your studio, being able to have a different type of class, or even be able to have, which is what we've been talking about, an additional private group setting where this piece of this soulful wellness in terms of conversation. It's very, very evidence-based, the importance in our longevity of community. Like, it's just such an incredible marker. And so we want you to be empowered to actually have the science behind, which some people think is like the art of life. Isn't it so wonderful that you can just meditate? We're bringing these tools. This is not a tool, a privileged tool. This is why we want to, break it open, and particularly with Flow for All, really be able to train meditation modalities, give people simple tools that they can apply right away. So I think Dimitri had something on the stove. I'll be right back. He did. It's all right. Don't cuss too much because I'm on the Zoom call. I don't know what it is, but don't worry, sweetheart.
Oh, man.
It's all right.
Oh.
Baby, I'm on the Zoom call.
Tell him I burnt all my eggs.
It's okay. So anyhow, I'd love to hear your questions. Obviously, every program has its uniqueness. And for us, we have been on householder community side. We know that life happens, and it's nice to know that you say, like, what would happen if I only wanted to do the first part and then see how it's going? I know some people are like, is it going to be too much work? And, will I be up for it? So I really want to say one more thing is that we've had this structure in our school since the beginning. It was called the Svadharma Project. And it was part of Living Yoga Sadhana. And so it's kind of evolved since then. You used to have like, oh my goodness, I think at the 500 hour, you had to have like 10 book reports. You had a personal project and people loved it. But we found that people were getting a little freaked out about the book report part. It was never supposed to be like grade school. It was like, you're going to create a folder, a binder of inspiration. And that's really what we want you to hear. We will be able to absolutely give empowered teacher training hours, which we're doing at $5 an hour, because we know that it is intense. None of us are working. And we're all self-employed. So what we want you to be able to feel is that what gives you the confidence to be a guide is that you actually embody and change and see a change within yourself. And that does not have to be in the normal ways that are conventionally defined as wellness, right? Like, what's your optimal weight? Do you have a habit that you want to kick, as a motivation? And all of that is really important. But as I did the research, it was kind of, we found a bit narrow in the scope in a way of what is wellness. And in our experience of being with people on the path, when they're in a teacher training, everything can happen. Love, marriage, babies, loss, death, COVID-19, everything. What we think makes a really incredible teacher is that they're able to translate all of the experiences of life and know what we like to practice, that there's a solar lunar continuum that is a spectrum that is not just practices, but that every practice you come to, it's about tending this fire. It's not a performance for someone else. My heart breaks for teachers who are entering the path, and I just don't want anyone to go on that. The trigger of to be a yoga teacher is that you can take a picture in this amazing, incredible asana. We say that incredible asana, when you take a picture of it from your soul, is a gift to the world. But the moment when we have to take that picture to prove that we're this, or that doing this means that we're that, we've gone into just the ahamkara. And we think that we're at the time where the greatest opportunity is actually to realize yoga at the deepest level. And so for us, if you could imagine, let's just do a little exercise together. If you close your eyes, this is our practice. Some of you know it already from Living Yoga Sadhana, is you can look for where you are. We're headed to the new moon, almost to May 1st. So we could say you could look from where you are, and 6 months from now would be roughly around full moon in July. Let's just say August 1st. And of course, we're all in the evolving unknown. But we would be going through a life navigation process and basically saying, what do you want to tend in the garden of your life? In a positive way, what changes do you want to nourish? In a positive way, what do you want to retrieve as being important and essential and giving your attention to? How do you want to grow? And if there's changes that are beyond us, we are tapping into the greatest wealth, that is the gift of health and the gift of being alive. And it is not dependent on anything external or material. And yet the basics of food, water, clean air, shelter are the things that we in our community are actively addressing as part of that soulfulness. How are we going to give back? So we envision say if you've been the end of the first 6 months, that we want the last 3 months is supporting you in a little more specialization. Some of you may want to be more in a lunar, go deeper in a lunar path. Some of you may want to work with men or women, because there's a lot of soulfulness that's beyond gender, but something seems to happen when men and women get together, and however anyone identifies, that there are some other things that we can address in that soulful circle. So we will be having soulful circles every week, more focused on breakout groups and also principles of leading a circle in a way that has healthy boundaries. I think sometimes we don't get enough teaching about what that means. And really, it may sound so simple, but our intention in those soulful circles is simply that everybody feels heard, seen, and respected. And that we listen to our personal biases and keep opening our heart to just be able to listen, so everybody feels seen, heard, and respected. For me, that's the most important thing in leading a circle, is you have to be able to listen to each person like they were telling you the most important thing. That's the fire keeping of our awareness. And that's a bit of a training. I went through that training in UCLA. I have a master's in dance ethnology, and we had group therapy for a year, if you can imagine, 3 times a week. No music, no instruction, except a little seed that my mentor, PhD mentor, would give us. And then it was just dancing your life. No music, no instruction for a year. And then we would sit down and we would process together what was arising. Like just that open, right? That open. And you start to really see the power of movement to move life, and simply to be able to speak your truth in a non-judgmental forum is huge. It gives people courage. So we're also, the last thing I want to say is that we're more interested in terms of the wellness practices of being very invitational. We're not going to recommend one way of eating, of diet. We're not going to recommend one approach to anything. We actually want to give, I would say the main part of our intention is that in the end of 6 months, you have tended what is important to you, and you've been supported in that. And whether that was a project for your heart, or that had integration through your embodiment, or overcoming something in your own physical health, and in that process, different layers also being healed. We want everybody to be able to listen to that inner fire and make the moment-to-moment changes, which is what stress management and living yoga is about. It's not applying a formula, but applying what has been handed down, what works. And we have a lot of tools in terms of circadian rhythms that are very open for everybody. They're what we do best, how to get your life in a good rhythm. So I want to open it up because I know it's getting late for some of you, and some of us might be hungry. Speaking of circadian rhythms or sleepy, it's so nice to see your face. I think I've been on the same, I don't know if I can switch it and see some more folks. Let's see. Anybody else there? Anybody have a question? How are we doing? Just go like this if you have a question. DK? DK. Everybody good? I can't hear you, Nikki. Annie. I would love if you could just send us an email of something that if you have anything that you would like us to cover, something that you think would be important, something you're interested in.
You can also send it in German if you want to. You can send it to us in German or to Shiva in English, whatever. It works better for you.
Yep.
To us, I can say, because we were planning on traveling a lot this year with Shiva. So for right now, we were supposed to be in LA taking a part of our teacher training, right?
On the pier.
Well, now we're here in the garden or in the house. That's also great. So for us, it's perfect that we have online opportunities now, so we can keep on learning.
And we can't wait to be part of the wellness guide. So we're going to take this journey, and we're happy to take some of you with us on this journey and share maybe during this journey. Out of all the circles, we'll be happy to share whatever we've learned and bring together. So we're here if you have more questions as well. And we're going to just be students in taking this path step by step.
Well,
together.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're going to be meeting again at noon, so I want to respect your time, and I want to say that I love seeing you, and please just send us an email if you have any other questions. And yeah, for Earth Day tomorrow we're going to be in collective pranams with amazing artist Donna Delori, and so I look forward to perhaps seeing you there. And I really just, all my prayers to everybody. Everybody is affected, and my prayer is that we don't go back to how it was, but we go back with all the insights, and that we can make some even greater changes so that we never have to go through this like this again. There's some real simple changes. My thing is that hand sanitization should be free. It should be everywhere you go. It should just be everywhere. I don't understand why we can't buy hand sanitizer, or it's so that it's $16 down at the gas station. I don't understand this. So anyhow, we're gonna do our part. Thank you all. Let's bring our hands in Jaya Mudra. Oh wait, I had one more question. Sorry. This is you do with your hands. Do you like, for those of you who've been in the live studios, the live classes that are going to be new every week, do you like that we have yoga alchemy if you want to go into all the stuff in a longer practice? Or would you like it to be the same, like we go for full hour and a half? Or do you find that that's helpful, that you can see more the middle path? Who likes middle path? Who likes go more Pikasana? Middle path? More Pikasana.
Middle path.
Middle path.
Middle path and a few Pikasanas. Yes, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that in it. But I want us to not feel distracted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want it to feel like it's coming out of us, but that the practice is really tracking our meditation. I want to support all of our meditation practices, and then let that spill over. So back to Jaya Mudra. Thank you. Feeling a deep inhale. Can we hear everybody? Sorry.
I'll do that. Hold on.
Okay. We'll open our arms. Oh, Rain, I hear your beautiful voice. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your pre-new moon.
Thank you, Shiva, so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happened on the stove. See you.
Thank you. Bye, Shiva.
Thank you so much, Shiva. Bye.
Ciao.
Take care. Bye.